Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about topic 3.1, the Bill of Rights. In this lesson, you will learn about the difference between civil liberties and civil rights, and we will talk about some specific liberties outlined in the Bill of Rights. What we call rights are actually often civil liberties. Civil liberties are constitutionally established guarantees and freedoms that protect citizens, opinions, and property against arbitrary government interference. This includes many of the freedoms found in the Bill of Rights, or the first 10 amendments. Civil rights, on the other hand, protect citizens from discrimination based on characteristics such as race, national origin, religion, and sex. While the basis for these is found in the Constitution, it is often acts of Congress or the Supreme Court that protect from discrimination. So, why were the Bill of Rights added to the Constitution in the first place? Remember, Anti-Federalists were convinced that there was a need for a list of fundamental rights as a protection against the growth of power they feared in the central government. It would also protect the rights of the states as compared to the federal government. These first 10 amendments to the Constitution were ratified on December 13, 1791, 2 years after the final ratification of the Constitution. One of the things that we are going to be looking at is how the Bill of Rights are continually being interpreted by the courts. We are going to be looking at how the courts have gradually, and through the 14th Amendment, been able to incorporate the rights listed in the Bill of Rights to the states. Without the 14th Amendment, we would not be protected from state interference in our individual liberties. Two terms that we're going to be talking about a lot in this unit are selective incorporation and public interest. Selective incorporation is the process by which the Supreme Court has ruled that states must adhere to certain rights in the Bill of Rights. That's what we were just talking about with the 14th Amendment. Without the 14th Amendment, those rights could not have been incorporated to the states. In fact, not every right has been incorporated to the states. The Third Amendment, the Seventh Amendment, and the Eighth Amendment have not yet been fully incorporated to the states. The other term that you're going to want to know is public interest, or the well-being of the general public. When the Supreme Court has decided to limit individual liberties, it has often done so because of the public interest. Let's talk about some of the rights listed in the Bill of Rights that have not yet been incorporated to the states. The first of which is the Third Amendment, or the right to not have soldiers quartered in your homes. This right has not yet been incorporated to the states. But you say, well, but there's not any state soldiers, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Actually, there are state soldiers. The National Guard is actually split between federal and state control, but it has very rarely come up as an issue to the Supreme Court. The Seventh Amendment provides for the right to a jury trial in a civil case. In the case of Minneapolis and St. Louis versus Bombolis, the Supreme Court ruled that the Seventh Amendment only applies to federal civil courts. Today, only 1% of civil cases are decided by juries. The Ninth Amendment is the amendment that is basically a cover your rear end amendment for the founders. Basically, it says that even if there's a right that we don't have listed here, it is covered by the Ninth Amendment. So there are a few main arguments regarding what the actual meaning of the Ninth Amendment is. So the first argument is that it refers to the rights that were granted by state laws, which could then be preempted by federal laws under the Supremacy Clause. The second argument is that the amendment refers to those residual rights that are not surrendered by the enumeration of powers. From this, it followed that if Congress is exercising its enumerated powers, it cannot be violating a retained right. The third argument is that its core meaning refers to the collective rights of the people, for example, to alter or abolish their government. Therefore, to think that it would protect individual minority rights would go against the ideal of the amendment. The last argument is that the Ninth Amendment actually refers to the natural liberty rights of the people as individuals, which are also referred to in the Declaration of Independence, state bills of rights, and Madison's proposed addition to the preamble. Only the last of these approaches would have much application to legal cases or controversies. Now, one thing that I will say about the Ninth Amendment, and we will talk about it in a later topic, the Ninth Amendment has been used to protect the right to privacy. The 10th Amendment gives power to states to run their own state. No law that would have been constitutional before the 10th Amendment was ratified becomes unconstitutional simply because the 10th Amendment exists. The Supreme Court has gone back and forth regarding the power of states and federalism, which is helped created by the 10th Amendment, and as to whether states are required to follow federal law. In this lesson, you should have learned the difference between civil liberties and civil rights, and we talked about some specific liberties that are outlined in the Bill of Rights. If there's anything that you missed, please go back now and watch the portion of the video that you need to. Then, go ahead and answer the summarizing question in your notes so that you can get a stamp the next time we're in class. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.